The planet Earth, the third planet in our solar system, the only planet that has life in it so far for now. The surface of our home planet, Earth, is covered by water for about 71%. But did you know that it goes by different names?
Hi, I'm Franz, and today we will be discussing more about the bodies of water. You might heard some of it, or you might saw some of it. But before we do that, let's ride one of these boats and let's go.
So what is a body of water? Bodies of water are any of the significant accumulation of water on the surface of the planet. So what are the different bodies of water? Let's start with the largest, the ocean. The ocean is the largest bodies of brine or salty water. It makes the 97% of all the water in the earth. And did you know that we only have one ocean? And it is subdivided into 5 or 7 names depending on where you are. But we will be discussing more about the ocean on our future videos. Next is the sea. The sea is the part of the ocean where the ocean and the land meet. It is typically partially enclosed by land, most likely islands. Did you know that the sea or part of the sea is being named depending on how it is being enclosed? The bay is a wide entrance to the sea where the land curves towards the interior. If the curve is larger, it is called a gulf. Make it smaller, it will be a bight. A cove is a bay with a narrow opening. If it is surrounded by a steep slope or cliffs, it is known as a fjord. A sound is larger than a bay and wider than a fjord. That's between two land masses. If it extends and connects two bodies of water, that will be called a channel. Make it narrower, it will be straight. Narrow it more, and if it's man-made, it is called a canal. A section of the bay where you dock your ship is called harbor, but before you dock your ship, you must drop your anchor first, on the road or roadstead. A lagoon is a shallow brackish water separated from the ocean or the sea and being filled during high tide. A barrage is a lagoon that is separated by a sandbar. You will hear a lot about this in Canada. A tidal pool only appears when it's low tide. Let's go inland. Lake is the largest body of usually fresh water that is contained inland. In Scotland, it is called a loch, which is also called a lake that is connected to a sea. Hey, is that a Loch Ness? If you build a castle, a fortification, a building, or a town in the middle of the lake, that lake will be called a moat, which is a good medieval defense strategy. If you build a dam on the lake, it is called an impoundment or reservoir. There are two confusing lakes. A pond is found on mountains that is carved down by glaciers, whilst a kettle lake are formed from a melting glacier's water that it shapes the mountain. There is a special lake called Oxbow Lake. It is formed when a river changes its course and leaves the curve behind. If you are in Australia, it is called a billabong. A pond is smaller than a lake, which is also called a man-made section of your garden where you keep your garden fishes like carps or koi's. If you put a watermill in it, it will be called a mill pond. Even if you remove it, it will retain as a mill pond. A pool is a small spot near the river, or mostly found on top of the waterfall. There is an interesting body of water that most of us don't know. If a pool of water was held in leaves, flowers, or tree holes, it is called a phytotelmata or just phytotelma. A mere is a shallow pond, but deeper than a puddle. Mostly for some, this is not considered as a body of water. Falls or waterfalls is a cascade of water from a height formed when a river or stream flows over a steep incline. A river is a large natural flowing water that normally flows from the high ground to a lower ground with a permanent path, whilst a stream is like a river but a bit smaller and follows on more temporary path. To make it narrower, it will be called a creek, which is also called a beck, burn, gill, lick, rill, rivulet, run, brook, or streamlet. Arroyo is a Spanish term for a creek which is formed when there is a flow of water due to sufficient rain. It is also called a wash or draw. In Arab countries, it is called a wadi. If the flow of water comes from the melted snow, it is called a freshet. A stream or creek that flows into a larger river is called a tributary, whilst the distributary is a stream or creek that flows away from the larger river. A rapids is the fast-flowing and turbulent part of the river. At the end of the river, you can find the estuary. It is where the sea and the river meet. A geyser is a body of water that strongly spews water in an open air from the ground. If it looks like boiling, it's called a boil or a seep. The accumulation or the flow of groundwater is called a spring, whilst a lee is also a spring that still flows underground, usually found in caves. If you found the spring, a pond or a lake, in a fertile spot in the middle of the desert, it is called an oasis.
So these are the different bodies of water, and I hope you learned a lot on this video. And if you want to learn more about the different bodies of water, or if you want to learn whilst we are traveling, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click that bell notification so that you will be notified with my future videos. Thank you for watching. Paalam!